Hey darling, Boyce here. Welcome back to my channel. Here it is my goal to help you find your next book obsession. I'm in my hoodie of the day, I am comfy, I am cozy, and I am ready to dive into today's video. Before we dive in, if you are new here, let me tell you what a first look actually is because it's a little different from what you might expect. A first look is not my personal review. What it is research and a lot of it. I go through Amazon and Goodreads reviews. I look at what readers are saying across every star rating. I find the patterns and I bring you the picture that the marketing isn't giving you. No spoilers, no hype, just an honest answer to the question you actually have. Is this book worth your time? I do this because I have spent about 16 years in the publishing industry, and one thing I know for certain is that the right book for you isn't always the book with the most buzz. My job is to help you find one that fits. Today we are talking about Mark of the Crijik by ThinkTwice, and before I tell you anything about the book itself, I need to fix a problem the marketing created. Look at the cover. It's over here. What do you see? You see what looks like a young adult, probably late teens, early 20s, wielding magic, looking intense, ready for a fight. That's the visual promise. Then you read the synopsis. Reborn into a family that wants to kill him. That's the text promise. When you put them together, you've built a very specific expectation in the reader's mind. Older protagonist, dangerous family dynamic, immediate conflict, power rising fast. But none of that is what you're getting, at least not in book one. Though there is a pre-isekai moment of the MC as an adult, the main character is reincarnated as a baby, a newborn, for the entire first book. I want to be really clear about why I'm leading with this because it matters. This is the single most consistent complaint across every review I found. Well, not every review, but you know what I mean. It's not the pacing, it's not the magic system, it's not the protagonist's personality, it's the mismatch. Readers who went in cold, who trusted the cover, and didn't really look too deep into the synopsis, they sat down expecting one thing and felt misled. And some of them bounced because of it. Not because the book is bad, because the setup primed them for something it didn't deliver. So we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to tell you exactly what this book actually is, and then you can make a real decision about whether it's for you. So here's what it actually is. Here's the real pitch. Mark of the Crijik is an isekai LitRPG published by Aethon books in November of 2022. It is the first in a completed 5-book series. The author writes under the pen name ThinkTwice. He got his start on Royal Road writing LitRPG and progression fantasy, and he brought this story to Amazon through Aethon. If you're newer to the genre, let me quickly break down what that means. Isekai is a Japanese concept that has been fully absorbed into Western progression fantasy. It means a character from our world gets transported or reborn in a fantasy world. LitRPG means that the fantasy world has a game-like mechanic. Stat screens, skill trees, levels, systems. Progression fantasy means the story is built around a character growing into power over time. Mark of the Crijik sits at the intersection of all three. Now here's the twist. The main character has a normal life until he gets pushed off a building and dies. He wakes up reincarnated into a fantasy world with a game-like system. And here's where this book does something almost nobody else in the genre does. The main character, Andros, is not reborn as a conveniently adult-sized hero. He's a newborn. He has all his memories, his fully formed adult mind from his previous life, his knowledge of his previous life, and he literally cannot hold his head up. He cannot walk, he cannot talk, he cannot do anything except lie there and observe and think while his infant body slowly catches up to his mind. A significant portion of this book is him navigating the gap between who he is on the inside and what he can actually do on the outside. How do you start mastering a magic system when your hands don't even really work yet? How do you gather information when no one knows you can understand them? And how do you plan for a future when you can't even get up off the floor? That's the actual core of book one. And it's either going to fascinate you or frustrate you, but we'll get into that. The stakes are real though. Andros has one major advantage and one massive problem. The advantage, he has the Mark of the Crijik, a divine gift from a god that grants extraordinary power to its bearer. The problem, that same mark kills its bearer at age 25. The clock is running out from the moment he's born. I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, me! As you may know, I have a merch store, boyceinc.com, and I sell a bunch of really fun stuff on there. And today, I really want to feature my plushies, because they're so cute. I love them. So I really want to go into just a couple of the plushies that I have. I'm going to be real quick. Don't worry about it. And we're going to get back to the video super soon. But I make these by hand. All of them are custom made. Right now, all of these that I just showed you are actually going to be set aside for a charity auction. But I really try to price them affordably. This is a fun hobby for me, but I cannot have hundreds of plushies in my house. My fiance would not like that. But yeah, so these are just the puppies ones that I'm featuring today. I'm going to link them below, but I also do cats, I do dragons, I do all kinds of things. And if there's something you would like custom made, go ahead and just send me a message and I will see if maybe I can do it. You buy one. Give me your money. Okay, now back to the video. So what works? Let me tell you about what this book does really well, because when it lands, it really lands. The first thing, and honestly the biggest thing, is the mystery. This is the engine of the entire book and frankly most of the series. ThinkTwice layers in questions from the very first pages and never stops stacking them. What is the mark really? What is it connected to? Who else has one? What does the divine being who granted it actually want? What's going on with the system? Because this book is very deliberate about signaling that the system may not be neutral. It may not be trustworthy, and it may have its own agenda that Andros doesn't even understand yet. And crucially, none of these questions get answered in book one. The mysteries about Andros's bloodline, about the mark, about the nature of the system, they are open, not closed at the end of book one. And that is completely intentional. One reader described it as world building at its best, and nobody even knows it's world building yet. I love that framing. ThinkTwice is playing a long game. He's building a foundation that the later books are going to stand on. And if you can feel that happening, if you're the kind of reader who gets hooked by questions rather than frustrated by them, this book has serious pull. The second thing that really works is Andros himself. I want to be careful here because this is where the book is going to sort you into one of two distinct camps, and I'll come back to that in the wording section. But for the readers this works for, Andros is a genuine relief. He's not arrogant. He does not throw his weight around. He doesn't insult people to establish dominance. He doesn't start fights. He thinks before he acts. He weighs his choices morally, and he consistently tries to do the right thing even when the right thing is harder. If you've been reading LitRPG for any length of time, you know what the alternative looks like. You've met the MC who uses his cheat power to humiliate everything around him in the first 50 pages. You've met the protagonist who technically is a good guy but treats every interaction like a dominance negotiation. Andros is not that guy. For readers who are worn out on that particular archetype, this is a breath of fresh air that they didn't know they needed. The third thing I want to point out is the father-son relationship, because I saw it mentioned so consistently across reviews that I'd be doing you a disservice to not call it out. Andros's relationship with his father is one of the most warmly reviewed elements in the entire series. Not just book one, the entire series. And what makes it work is what it isn't. His father is not a powerful mentor figure. He's not secretly a legendary warrior who's going to unlock Andros's potential. He's a regular man, well-meaning, doing his best, limited by his social station in ways he can't fully overcome. He loves his son. He just can't give him what the story ultimately needs Andros to have. In a genre where father figures are very frequently either absent, dead, or secretly incredible, a dad who is just a good, ordinary man feels genuinely surprising and heartwarming. And here's the last thing that works, the chapter titles. Each chapter opens with a witty, deadpan quote. The whole book has this dry, self-aware humor threaded through it that keeps things from getting too heavy. It's the kind of detail that tells you the author has a real voice and isn't just here for the plot. Okay, so now let's talk about what you actually need to know before going in. The baby phase is the entirety of book one. I need you to really hear this. If you are waiting for the time skip, for the moment where the story jumps forward and Andros is older and things start moving, that doesn't necessarily happen in book one, from what I've been able to tell in the reviews. He ends the book accelerated to look like a child, but he is still being treated as a small child by almost everyone around him for the duration of book one. The power fantasy readers come to LitRPG for the moment where the protagonist steps into his strength, then the world takes notice, but it's not here yet in book one. This book is essentially the prequel to that book that you're looking for, if that's your kind of thing. It's the origin story. And if you go in expecting the origin to feel like the payoff, I mean, you're going to be disappointed. If you need momentum to stay engaged, this book is going to ask a lot of you in the early stretch. Now, about those two camps I mentioned. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you about this book, so I want to say it carefully. The same qualities that make readers really love Andros are actually the exact same qualities that make other readers put the book down hard. Andros is morally good, consistently, reliably, predictably morally good. He makes the right call. He takes the high road. When the world tests him, he passes, and the story affirms his choices. His goodness is rewarded, his instincts are correct, the universe tends to confirm that he is doing things right. For readers who find that inspiring, that dynamic works beautifully. Andros feels like a protagonist you can actually root for without reservation, and that's pretty rare. For readers who find that kind of protagonist preachy or sanitized or even sanctimonious, it kind of becomes a wall, especially combined with the pacing of book one, which does not move quickly. That combination, a slow-moving story, not a bad story, just a slow-paced story with a protagonist who is right about almost everything, is exactly where some of the one-star reviews come from. The middle section does drag from what I read, and I want to be specific, this is not a fringe complaint. This showed up across a lot of different review tiers I analyzed, even some 5-star readers said it. Now, the beginning of the book is engaging. The ending is solid. It's just that the middle stretches out in ways that even committed fans acknowledge is a little slow. So if you know that going in, you can set your expectations yourself as you go through it. If you don't know it's coming, it can feel like the book lost its plot even when it hasn't. You just need to plan for it. Another thing I want to note is that the LitRPG elements, they are kind of light. And this is important for anyone coming in specifically for the system mechanics. If you want constant stat screens, frequent level ups, detailed skill tree optimization, and a protagonist who is actively engaging with the numbers, I don't think this is going to be that book. The system exists. It matters in the story, but the story takes priority over the system, not the other way around. Multiple readers described it as LitRPG light, and from what I can tell, that is pretty accurate. So if you're a hardcore LitRPG reader who came for the spreadsheet energy, I think you're going to feel a little underfed here. I think you might still really like the book. It's just something you need to manage in terms of expectations going in. And the magic system in book one doesn't fully resolve. The rules get introduced and then kind of left open. You will get answers, just not in this volume. Some readers find that tantalizing. Others find it a steep learning curve that never quite pays off within the book that they're currently reading. So it's just worth knowing before you go in. Okay, I want to talk about the series context, and this is something that you need to know before you commit to this one. The series genuinely gets better as it goes. This is not me ragging on book one, it's just that book one is the lowest rated entry across the full 5-book series, and I want you to know that because it's relevant information. Readers who push through consistently rate the later books higher. The ratings climb as the series progresses. Book 4, The Burning Lake, is the entry that gets called the series peak most consistently. That's where the stakes escalate in a significant way and some major emotional plot developments pay off. If you've been patient with the foundation ThinkTwice has been laying, Book 4 is where everything pays off. Book 5, The Ascension, is where the overarching story, that big picture conflict that the earlier books have been quietly setting up, finally gets addressed head on. By that point, readers who stuck with the series are deeply invested, so happy with the outcome, and the reviews really reflect it. So if the question is whether the patience this series asks of you in book 1 is worth it, I mean, the reader data says yes. If the premise connects with you, then this is a series that really earns its setup. It just kind of takes a little while to get there. Full 5-book series is complete. All 5 books are published, so you can read straight through without waiting on anything. Oh, if you are an audiobook reader, Neil Helligers, I think I said that right, narrates the full series and gets very consistent praise in the reviews. More than one reader said his narration helped carry them through the slower sections of book 1, so that is something to consider, and it's a real endorsement worth factoring in if audio is your format. So what's the verdict? Here's my honest read on this one. Mark of the Crijik rewards patience and punishes impatience, and it does both of those things without apology. If you love layered world building that trusts you to wait for the answers, if you're tired of arrogant MCs and you genuinely want a protagonist you can root for without caveats, if you want a coming-of-age progression fantasy that starts at the very beginning of a life and actually commits to that, this series is worth your time. The payoff is real. I think you're really going to like this series, and the complete series is there waiting for you. But if you need momentum early, If you need your power fantasy to feel like power fantasy from the first act, or if you simply cannot spend a full book with a protagonist who is literally learning to walk, I think you might want to skip this one, and don't feel bad about that. It's a really well-written book, but it's just a matter of whether that pacing works for you or not. The reader this book is actually for is someone who likes the progression slow and their mysteries deep. Someone who has read enough of the genre to be a little tired of the standard template and is actively looking for something that does things differently. This is for someone who can feel the long game being set up and finds that exciting rather than frustrating. So if that is you, pick this up. Just go in knowing what you're actually getting. Now, if you have already read this one, I want to hear from you in the comments. Were you the baby phase convert? Did the slow build work for you? Did it lose you somewhere in the middle? I'm very curious on where people land with this one because the reader split is so sharp and so consistent that I think it says something interesting about what different readers need from the genre. And if the video helped you figure out whether this belongs in your shelf, shameless plug, that is exactly what I am here for. Please consider subscribing. It really helps the algorithm magic black box voodoo that is the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in the next one, my darling. Have a great day.